Hi there, I'm Dr. Shannon Subashe with Los Alamos Equine Veterinary Services, and this is Samantha, one of my technicians. And this is Taps, who will be helping us with some demonstrations today. And today we're going to talk about how to do a basic physical exam for your horse, or you might also hear it referred to as a TPR, which stands for temperature, pulse, and respiration. You may want to have this information in case you're ever feeling that your horse doesn't seem normal. So you'll need to get a normal for your horse, and if you feel like they're not right, it'll give you an objective measurement to know if maybe they have a fever or their heart rate is really high. You can also then give this information to your veterinarian, and it'll give us a better idea of what is going on with your horse before we even get there. So what you will need for this is a stethoscope. You don't need this fancy of a one. This one's a digital one, but I would also not recommend getting the absolute cheapest one that you can get at your regular drugstore. If you go somewhere in the middle range, it is probably going to be a good quality one that you can really hear the horse's heart and breathing with. The other thing is just a digital thermometer that you can get from any drugstore. It's nothing special. And then some way to keep time. You can use a watch. I like to use my phone because I always have it on me. And then your fingers and your senses. So the first thing that I usually will do is listen to the horse's heart. So we are going to do that by placing our stethoscope on the left side of the horse, right behind their elbow is where you will hear it the best. And you may need to push in there a bit to get right over the heart. Now, I like to listen for at least 10 seconds first, because sometimes if the horse doesn't know what you're doing, their heart rate might be initially raised, and so we want to give them a few seconds to settle down. And then I like to count for 15 seconds and multiply by 4 to get how many beats per minute that their heart is going. Now with horses, it's really important that you listen for that lub-dub, and that lub-dub is 1 beat. A lot of people will hear the lub-dub and count that as 2 beats. So horses have a much slower heart rate than other animals, and so making sure that you don't double count their heart rate. A normal heart rate in most horses should be about 36 to 42, depending on your individual horse. So their heart rates are much, much slower than ours. So that is where you'll listen for your heart rate. Next, for doing their respiratory rate, I really like to sit at their flank and hold my hand on it and feel each time they breathe in and out over a 15-second period, and again multiply by 4. If you would like, if your horse is a bit ticklish or you're uncomfortable at the hind end, the other thing you can do is use your stethoscope again and listen over their trachea, which you can access right here. And you can hear them breathe in and out. Now a normal respiratory rate in a horse should be about 10 or 12. They can be, so all the heart rate and the respiratory rate will go up with exercise, as will the temperature. But during normal resting conditions, that should be about normal. The next one is your temperature. So that we get rectally. So you're just going to lift your horse's tail and insert into through the anus into the rectum. Now, the only important thing there is making sure that you're safe, that you're standing in a safe position. Always make sure that somebody is holding the horse for you in case they get anxious. And to make sure that you press the thermometer into the side of the wall so you're not in the middle of a poop ball. And then you just wait for your thermometer to beep, indicating that it's finished, or however your thermometer works. And then a fever in a horse, and then I like to wipe it on the tail afterwards. A fever in a horse is 101.5 and above. On a really hot day, your horse's temperature might be 100 normally. However, if you start getting to 101, then you should definitely contact your veterinarian. You may be heading into a fever situation. A couple of other things that come up when people ask about physical exams on their horses include their hydration. A lot of people talk about doing a skin tent test. I don't find that particularly reliable. What I would recommend that you do is gently lift their lip up. Most horses don't find this too insulting, and see how wet their gums are. And that'll give you a better idea about hydration. Finally, you may have horses that experience something called laminitis, and we might ask you to monitor your horse's pulse. In order to do that, I like to come down on the front leg here, and I will tend to cup my hand under the fetlock, and I feel for a ropey structure, and then gently apply pressure, and you should feel a pulse. And you can easily reach across to the other side in order to compare on that side as well. And if you have an increased pulse, that might indicate that your horse has laminitis or an abscess. If you note either of these things, you should contact your veterinarian. And those are the main things for a physical exam. I hope you find this useful and have a good day.